the converted man here. How do you know when someone has no argument at all? Well, I think there's a couple ways that you can surmise that they don't really have an argument. One is when they attack the person rather than the argument. They attack you. They say, your hair is silly, or you're slurring your speech, or I don't like the way you talk, or whatever. It's like, okay, that's nice. And what's your argument? Or you're this, you're that, you're evil, you don't, whatever. That's like, okay, what's your argument? Another way is to talk about a definition of a word and be like, well, look at this word and look at it this way and think about it that way. And you talk about all this stuff that has nothing to do with proving your point, but just muddying the water of natural language, which is already complicated enough. Words, definitions change over time, and people use them in different ways. The zeitgeist, which is an interesting word in of itself, but this has been one that has been set forth by atheists in regards to the word atheist to be, I don't believe in God. That's what the word means. I am very certain of this. I took a small survey. Everybody, without knowing, all answered that the word atheist, they didn't know what each other's answers were. They all answered that atheist was a lack of belief in God. Different wording to it, but the same idea across the board. So I suspect if somebody did a larger scale survey, that would remain true. I was able to do 12 people. Hopefully somebody will do a bigger survey. But if you don't have that survey of what non-believers think the word means, then you really don't have anything at all. At best, you could offer a straw man, or what's known as a construct straw man. A straw man occurs if and when you give an argument that is a weaker version of the actual argument being given. A construct straw man, however, occurs when you simply make up what the argument is and say that that's what your opponent is arguing, even though nobody actually argues that position at all, or, they have never done that. They'll never do it. It's completely made up. And one example of this might be like, where do you think the universe came from? Nothing? No atheist agrees with this position. No atheist thinks that the universe came from nothing. Again, I did a small scale survey, and it doesn't seem like this is an atheist position. In fact, there really isn't an atheist position, because the only thing that makes you atheist is that you don't believe in a God. That's it. There is no other thing that you can derive from atheist other than that. But the apologist really desperately needs it to be a worldview, or to be a religion, or to be something different than what it actually is. And they need that to be the case if and when they don't have any argument of their own. And what I mean by that is they don't have an argument for their own position. They only have an argument against what they perceive is the other person's position. And of course, that perception is a construct straw man. These people usually know better, or should know better, but don't care. They're simply lying to themselves and their audience because they know nobody will care about the atheist or skeptic that speaks out against them. They know their audience is going to watch their content. They're not going to even know about it. They're not going to say anything. Hey, look, this person rebutted me. They're not going to do that, especially when they're a big YouTuber. They're not going to recognize, the various little YouTubers that might come after their pathetic arguments. In fact, argument needs to be in quote, because it's not even really an argument. It's like, hey, look at this thing. And if we look at this over here, that has nothing to do with me proving my burden of proof, by the way. if we understand everything through this lens in this way, then we can dismantle this notion and we can make it into this construct strawman that I can then knock down. And then having done that, I can then pretend like I've won, even though I didn't prove my stance. So even if you could, hypothetically, dismantle definition of a word, in this case, atheist, and render it to be meaningless or show that everyone is using it wrong or whatever, that still wouldn't prove anything for your point. It's not like, well, it's either atheism or theism, although that's what many apologists would like you to believe. They'd like you to believe that either there is or isn't a God, right? There's no in between, right? Well, why not? Why can't we hypothesize that for a moment? Just a moment. Could there have been a God at some point in time, and that God died in order to make the universe? Like that God exploded itself, and in doing so created the necessary conditions for the singularity that then expanded into the universe or something, or it all used up all its energy in order to make the conditions correct for the universe that we know. So there used to be a God, but it died, and now there isn't a God anymore. Well, then everybody would be kind of wrong in that case, because the theist would be wrong that there's currently a God. The atheist would be slightly wrong in saying that there's no God, even though that's not really the atheist position. But of course, they're going to say that that's the atheist position, or that it should or must be the atheist position. And they would be slightly wrong too. So everybody would be wrong, or you could go the other way and say, well, no, there was no God at the start, but eventually there's going to become a God, that the complex nature of the universe unfolding will make a mind, and that mind will be God. And that's yet to come, or it's slowly forming. It's not quite there yet, but it will be soon. Or maybe it already has formed and we don't know about it yet. Hasn't yet contacted us. Or wait, oh, yes, it just did. The universe just told me right now it has gained sentience and it's God, and it's going to let the rest of you know. But first, it's going to talk through me, of course, because, I need money and all this, so why not? So, and again, in that case, if there isn't yet a God, but there will be one day, then theists and non-theists would be wrong in a way. So there does appear to be a potential for a middle ground of between there isn't a God or there is a God, right? But nobody really believes that. Well, maybe somebody somewhere does. Who knows? Because people have different beliefs. So it's possible. It's hypothetically plausible that somebody believes that, or that somebody's going to start a cult with that belief at its core or whatever. Because why not? It happens. So you could convince yourself that it's true if you really try hard enough, maybe. All that being said, we're going to look at a video by a doctor. Don't know if he's a doctor. Don't care if he actually is one. If he's not using his PhD for anything useful, I don't care. It's hard to get a PhD because academia makes it hard. Like, that's the whole point of it, is like it's supposed to be hard. But I think that unless you're actually using it for something, then what's the point? Like, why did you get it? Like, during the process of getting it, you did things that were perhaps new and novel, but once you have it, then what are you going to do with it? Anyways, so this guy has a video called "Why You Aren't Actually an Atheist." So, and I've covered him before, and he is a complete and utter liar, con man, charlatan, a typical apologist, in other words. And I've insulted him on his comment section, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm not going to engage with you because you've insulted me." I'm like, "Well, yes, because you are a liar." That's true. Your argument's independent of you being a liar, but you are a liar. I'm just telling you that you are. I'm just saying that your PhD is useless in this conversation because you know better, but you're not using the intelligence that you have in your presentation. To say to anybody you aren't really what you claim to be is to have special knowledge, to be a mind reader of that person. I don't know what you think, feel, and believe, and to tell you that you're wrong about those things is illogical. So I could tell him he's not actually a theist. Yeah. And then I can go on to define theist in a strange and bizarre way that doesn't align with what theism is in his view. And well, then he's technically not a theist because I've done that. Woohoo. And that's what he's going to do here. He's going to attempt to dismantle atheism by pointing at a philosopher who's long dead. And I don't care what Nietzsche said or what he meant. It doesn't matter to me at all. Not even a little bit. But that's where he's going to go. And he's going to go there and say, I don't know, Nietzsche took it seriously, or Nietzsche thought this or that, as if I care what Nietzsche thought, And when you look at it this way, through this lens, then it's really actually a faith, and you actually have a faith. So I'm going to QQ you, because then that will make it easier to defeat you. So he's gonna construct straw man us. He's gonna straw man. If he's not constructing it, he's gonna pure straw man, and he's gonna appeal to the authority of Nietzsche to try to make an argument that changes the word atheist in a way that he can then dismantle, which won't prove his points at all, but that's what he's going to do. And I haven't even watched the video, but I'm just telling you what he's going to do. Here we go. All right. Let's get it up screen. Get it up screen. What the hell? Get it up screen. Yeah, sure. Whatever. Okay, let's do that. Okay, make sure it's up. Your atheism is a lie. All right. Yeah, let's hear about this, doctor. Let's hear what you have to say.
I know what you probably tell yourself. You're a man of science. You deal in cold, hard facts. You have outgrown all those religious people of the past who have those stupid rituals, superstitions.
Okay, so already starting with, I know that you tell yourself the following. Well, I know, doctor, that you tell yourself that your farts smell good and that you are a brilliant man and that you are loved by people. I know that you tell yourself X, Y, and Z. No, I don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know what I tell myself. In fact, I don't tell myself the things that you're saying that I tell myself. So you're just wrong. You're lying. You're not correct in this. I don't know if I'm a man of science or not, or even what that would mean. I attempt to apply informal logic to various argumentations. I guess I could call myself an amateur logician, but I don't know that I'm even qualified to call myself that because I'm skeptical of my insights. I'm skeptical of my own abilities because I try to be humble about what I know or don't know. And I recognize that there's a great deal I don't know. And there's a great deal that humans, broadly speaking, don't know. And that if we're talking about science, we're talking about the best tool that we have to figure out how things work and ways we can manipulate reality to our benefit. Whether that's a good or bad thing is, another question. But no, I don't tell myself these things. So you saying that you know that we do is untrue.
And sky daddies. But you're lying to yourself. Look, don't blame me, blame Nietzsche. Arguably.
Well, no, I'm going to blame you. You're the one making the presentation. So you are at fault for presenting a false argumentation. Telling people you are lying, you are being deceptive. No, you're being deceptive, and it is fully your fault for doing so.
the most famous atheist in all of history, Nietzsche, the one who said famously that God is dead, he would laugh at your so-called skepticism. He wouldn't call you a skeptic. He would call you an unconscious Christian,
How do you know that? How do you know what Nietzsche would call me, or anyone else for that matter? Do you have a secret time travel machine that you can project your mind reading abilities into the past? But even if it's the case that Nietzsche would say this, why the fuck would I care what Nietzsche has to say? I don't care. I'd be like, yeah, that's nice, Nietzsche. Punch him in the face. Or, well, I mean, he's dead, so it'd be punch him in the skull or something. I don't care. Then again, punching him doesn't seem like a very nice thing to do just because I disagree with him. But I'd be like, I don't care, Nietzsche. Plus, he wouldn't be speaking English, so I wouldn't even know what he had said, and he wouldn't understand what I'm saying. Anyways, why do I care what Nietzsche said? I don't. So what's your argument? Oh, right, you don't have one.
believer who's in denial. Nietzsche argued that even the most godless of modern men are still warming their hands by a fire lit thousands of years ago. You claim the fire doesn't exist, yet you rely on its heat every single day.
Okay, well, Nietzsche was wrong. And I don't care what he said. Doesn't matter to me. This doesn't change anything. This is just somebody said a thing. Big deal. Who cares? Carl Sagan said, hey, why not save a step? And if you're going to say that the universe, that God has no cause, why not save a step and say that the universe has no cause? Did that change your mind about everything? No, because it's just something that somebody said. This is nothing more than an argument to an authority figure, and perhaps, well, is it the wrong authority? I mean, he's a philosopher, I guess, but I don't care. I just, who cares?
Now, we're going to look at your atheistic worldview, your science.
And there he goes. See, I told you, atheistic worldview. He knows that there is no such thing as an atheistic worldview. He knows this. He's been corrected on that many times by myself, and I'm sure others in the comment sections when he's made this claim before. There is no atheistic worldview. It's not a thing. Atheism, like I said, means we don't believe in God. That's what everybody pretty much seems to agree upon. So what worldview can be pulled from that? I don't know. I don't think anything can be pulled from that, because every option that isn't God is available to you as that prescription entails, or that rather description entails. You could believe in an afterlife. You could believe in a hell. You could believe in the devil. You could believe in demons and angels. As long as it's not a God, you could believe in just about anything or not believe in anything. So that doesn't tell you what you view the world as, other than you don't believe in God. It doesn't even tell you that there is no God, because that's not your belief either. That's not your stance. So there is no atheist worldview, and there cannot be an atheist worldview. There can only be worldviews that include atheism. So he is wrong again, but no surprise. Construct Strawman 101.
Science, your morality, your humanism. And we're going to see it for what it really is, an intellectual ghost story. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You haven't actually escaped religion. You've just renamed it.
And there's the 2Q Quay I said he was going to do. We're both in religion. You're just renamed it. That's all. So we both have religion now. Oh, isn't that horrible? Oh, man. Now I have a religion. You have a religion. Everybody has a religion. Okay, here, whatever.
Let's start with your most prized possession, science and objective truth. Now,
my most prized possession. You cannot possess science and or objective truth, because possession means object. here's an object that I possess. It's a blue cup that's made out of plastic. It's not my most prized possession. I'm not going to show you what that is. You could just come up with whatever you think it might be. Maybe you think it's my lobster or something. It's not. Look, I'm not going upstairs to get my most prized possession. And if I did, he would tell you to read a book, people. So we're not going to get him. He can sit up there. His brother's over there. I don't even feel like getting his brother right now. Anyways, doesn't matter. Science is cool and everything, but it's not my possession. Nor is it my most prized possession. I think that it is very useful as a tool, though. And objective truth, well, I just say truth. I don't need the word objective in front of it. Anyways.
You believe that truth is better than a lie. You believe that the search for truth using science is noble, good, and necessary. But Nietzsche is going to ask you a question that's going to devastate that approach. Why? Why is truth better than a lie? Why?
Oh, that didn't devastate it at all, not even a little. Nietzsche, I don't know. How about that for an answer? Or, that's an interesting question, Nietzsche. Pat you on the head. Goodbye now. Not going to answer it. That's also a potential answer. But here's the real deal for this guy, because, he's the one making the video. What is real matters. And what is not real doesn't matter. So whatever is real, that's true, okay? And that matters a whole lot to us because it really does influence you in different ways. It is true that, there's a stuffed lobster in my hand. That is true. Now, that does not in any way, shape, or form interfere with your life at all. But if I threw it at your head really hard and it went, that would be something that would interfere with you. And so it's true that I'm chucking this lobster at your head would be something that you would want to know about so that you could try to dodge it or deflect it or whatever. Because otherwise it's going to smack you in the head and it's going to hurt to some extent. And if it hit your eyeball the wrong way, maybe it could scratch your eye and perhaps temporarily or permanently blind you. What if it was a rock instead of a stuffed lobster? You definitely want to know the reality, the truth about a rock being thrown your way. You want to know if the bridge that is coming up at 100 feet is out or not. You really need to know the truth about that because it really matters for real on whether or not you should brake your car before you reach the point of no return. That's really important information to have. So we need the truth because it interacts with our reality because it is reality. And we don't need fiction because, well, fiction might be fun. It's not going to kill us unless, of course, the fiction is believed by somebody else who then thinks that fiction is real and uses that fiction in order to try to kill us, which then makes it real that person believes in fiction and that person's going to try to use that as a justification to kill me. And I should probably know about that truth because that's pretty damn important to my survival. At which point I would then call Nietzsche an idiot or nitwit and kick him in the balls. And say, how about that? Is that true that I kick you in the balls there, Nietzsche? Did that matter to you? Or should I be like, hey, before I kick you in the balls, Nietzsche, I plan to kick you in the balls. Now, I'm sure that you're not going to enjoy that, Nietzsche. So is it better for me to tell you the truth about my plan? Or is it, a waste of time for you to know the truth? Here I go. I'm about to kick you in the balls, Nietzsche, unless you do something to stop me. Well, of course you're going to do something to stop me because you value the truth, you nitwit. Anyways.
Why is truth better than deception? You guys want to be skeptic and question everything. Question this. Why is truth better than falsity? And I don't mean...
All right, I covered it. So, okay. So you're just going to repeat the question. Got it.
Just for communicating with people. I mean for navigating the world at all. Why do you want to know true things? Look at nature. Nature doesn't care about truth. Nature loves deception. The way prey camouflages itself. Or...
Wow, you're a complete moron. The reason why it camouflages itself is in order to survive against the thing that truly wants to eat it. Duh. God, jeez.
The way a spider tries to hide its web to catch prey. Survival often depends on lying. If life is just biology and evolution, then truth is not a virtue, it's a strategy, and often it's a bad one. Nietzsche...
Life is just biology and biological evolution, but of course he's a creationist nitwit who doesn't like biological evolution, I guess, and doesn't believe in it, I guess, because he's stupid and doesn't believe in reality. But yeah, this boiling things down, and it's like, it's a survival mechanism. Yeah, truth is a survival mechanism, right? So yeah, but so is lying. Yeah, sometimes lying is beneficial. Like you're doing. It's very beneficial for you to be able to lie to everybody. And it would be extraordinarily hard to promote your ideas if you didn't lie. In fact, it'd be impossible to promote your ideas if you didn't lie. However, on my side, I don't have to lie. I can be very honest and very truthful at all points and not worry about being exposed as a charlatan because everything I'm saying is true and verifiable. And so, yeah, but yes, you can deceive people, and people do deceive people, and creatures deceive other creatures, if you want to put it that way. And that's why you should be a skeptic.
To realize the moment you say, I will not deceive, not even myself, you are no longer doing science. You're doing morality. You're affirming that truth is transcendent, even divine.
Truth is transcendent has no actual meaning. Transcendent doesn't really even have a meaning. Well, it has a meaning, but like as far as being real to me, I don't know what the hell transcendent means to you. I don't care. You haven't defined it, so whatever. Truth just is real. Reality is real. Okay, that's it. The word true just means real for me. I know some philosophers get like all stupidly deep with like you have truth and you have justified truth and you have belief and then you have justified belief and justified true belief and then you have truth and then you have knowledge and you have justified knowledge and whatever and all these like levels, and it's like I don't care about any of that stuff. Okay, that's murky, deep, philosophical belly gazing to me. I just am a simple guy. I go, look, reality is real. If you can't agree that this is a lobster, we can't have a discussion. And there's that one guy I kicked off my channel because he was like, no, I don't agree that there's a lobster there. I'm like, okay, well, there's no discussion. So, it's not transcendent. It's just real. Truth is what real is. That's not transcendent.
Divine. That truth is worth pursuing, even if it's ugly, even if it gets you killed. That commitment is not a scientific commitment. It's a religious commitment.
No, it's not. The commitment to truth is a scientific one in that you're trying to figure out what is really going on. That's the whole point in doing science in the way that we do it. But of course, you need to convert this to religion, to chu kwe, and to have your constructs drawn in so that you can then say it's religion and it's all about God, even though it's not, or that It's transcendent, even though it's not. So you're just conflating and confusing what words are in order to try to desperately knock down something that you don't actually understand, or well, you do understand it, but you're deliberately messing it up so that people are confused by what you're saying. Unless, of course, they know informal logic, and then they're not. Or if they're listening to me, then they're not confused by what you're saying because I'm dismantling what you're saying.
This is what he meant when he says the scientific man is actually a Christian. If you believe,
I don't care. Nietzsche was wrong. The scientific man is actually a Hindu. The scientific man's actually Islam. The scientific man's a Jew. The scientific man is actually Zoroastrian. The scientific man is actually a fill in the blank. This is a non-nothing burger. The scientific man is actually a scientific man. Anything else is arbitrary and not argued for. It's essentially kind of an argument to purity, or the no true Scotsman fallacy. You know, the scientist, he's really actually, the real scientist is actually a Christian. Give me a break.
believe that the universe is rational, ordered, and knowable, then you believe in God. You have just...
No, you don't. And in fact, I don't know if the universe is ordered or any of these other statements you made. I have no idea. And you don't need to know if that's the case when doing science either, by the way. You just go, well, let's see if we can figure this out. Maybe it's not something you can figure out. You don't know. You don't need to make an assumption that you're going to be able to figure it out. Like, it's something I can figure out. You don't need to make that assumption going in because you don't know that that's the case. So you go, well, I'm going to try to figure it out. And then you did, and you did all this work, and you're like, well, damn, I didn't do it. I couldn't figure the damn thing out. Now, that doesn't mean that it's unfigure outable for everybody. It just means you couldn't do it. So this whole idea that you have to assume that the universe is intelligible is wrong. You don't have to assume that. Now, that you can make sense of some aspects of the universe is interesting, but that doesn't mean anything at all. It's just like, hey, yeah, we can make sense of it. Cool. That's really nice. Of course, some of it's really hard to make sense of, like quantum physics and stuff. And yet we can do it, sort of. Not very well. It's not easy, but yeah, it can be done. And that doesn't mean anything other than we figured out a way to do it. It doesn't mean that it is ordered or made to be able to be figured out. It's just like we were able to understand it. So adding on to that, therefore, God is just a God of the gaps. But everything else you've said is illogical, so why not?
Just renamed him the laws of physics. A law implies a lawgiver.
You're a complete idiot. Law implies lawgiver. You're dumb. You're just dumb. You're just hopeless. I don't know. So you don't understand the word law in science. Okay. You're a moron. Yeah, we know. We know. Reality requires a realtor. I hate this low bar, dim-witted, apologetic nonsense that people do. It's just so pathetic, especially coming from somebody that claims to have a PhD. I think it's a PhD in washing socks at this point. I don't know. But I've dealt with this nitwit before, so I'm not going to let him, yes, I'm going to insult him, but also point out the logical fallacies. Because again, don't get me wrong, he is a nitwit, he is a moron, he is a liar, but that doesn't have anything to do with his arguments. His argument still sucks, despite the fact that he's a liar, nitwit, etc. He could have a good argument. He doesn't. But I just need to insult him for my own personal amusement and anyways.
Borrowing from the theistic worldview without acknowledging. If you were to say in your...
Nope. Not borrowing at all. This is, again, this whole, oh, you're borrowing from my worldview thing. No, we're not. You don't need any theistic anything to do science. So this is just untrue and false and a lie. And he knows that.
In your lane and be consistent with your atheistic worldview, you would get none of these. A truly godless universe doesn't have laws.
Yes, it does. Because this universe, I mean, I think, is godless. I mean, if there's a God, I don't even know what it is per se, but that's not my position anyways. I don't believe in God, which is different from this is a godless universe. But whether there is or isn't a God doesn't tell me what kind of universe there is. Because whatever is, the thing is, you need to argue that that is true. You need to show that there is a thing there. So is there then a universe that is godless that has no laws? I don't know. What would that look like? Because you're equivocating the word law to mean something that it doesn't mean. Let's look up law and science. A law describes what happens in nature under specific conditions, often as a mathematical formula like E equals mc squared, based on repeated experiments. So there you go. Scientific law, this is from Wikipedia. Let's see. Scientific laws or laws of science are statements based on repeated experiments or observations that describe or predict a range of natural phenomena. So it's not the sort of law that he's equivocating to be law of the land, like red light means stop. But he should know that, being that he went to school and got a PhD, but he doesn't care because he's not here to be educational. He's here to promote his dying religion to those who already believe it and to maybe make some money while he does that. Anyways.
It has power. It has chaos. Things are disordered. It's tyrannical. It's unfair. There is no justice in such a chaotic world. But
these are all assumptions that you make that are based on your beliefs in what God is. Okay, so you posit that the universe would be X, Y, and Z ways without the God because you posit what God is. God gives order and reason and justice. So if you don't have God, then you don't have order or reason or justice. But those are beliefs that you have about your God. Whereas I don't have any beliefs at all regarding God's existence or non-existence. And that frees me to allow myself to discover the way reality actually really is, rather than how I would like it to be. And if it turns out that there's a God that made the laws of the universe as we understand them, or made the universe or all reality or whatever, cool, great, neat. But I'm going to discover that. I'm going to find the evidence for that. But you don't have any evidence. You don't have any argument. So you don't have any actual conclusion that we can grab a hold of. All you have is illogic and pseudoscience. But what else is new?
if you believe that the universe is rational, knowable, and ordered, then you are living in the shadows of a divine lawgiver without admitting it. And that's...
No, you're not. And again, if you believe those things, well, then why? I would ask, as a skeptic, I'd be like, well, wait a minute. Why do you believe that the universe is ordered? We've only scanned like, I don't know, 0.01% of the universe or something like that. You know, whatever the percentage is, it's got to be pretty damn low. You know, I don't know, 3%, whatever, something. I don't know. You know, so how would you make the statement that the universe is ordered? At best, you might be able to say that that what we know about the universe seems orderly, And what that means, as a skeptic, I would ask questions like, why do you have that belief in the first place? And I'd encourage you to be skeptical of your beliefs. I'd say, hey, wait a minute. Are you sure that this is like applies to the whole universe? How do you know this? What method did you use to arrive at this conclusion? What's your argument for that? Do you have evidence? Do you have a reputable test? If not, why hold that belief? See, that's the difference between skepticism and doing what he's doing, which is, trying to defend this idea of his that's so weak, by the way, that he has to lie about his opponent's position in order to get his position to look more reasonable, when his position is unreasonable, unjustified, unargued for, unproven, untestable. So, of course, he's equivocating. Of course, he's constructing straw man. Of course, he's saying that you believe in X, Y, and Z, even though the person might not believe in those things. And again, you don't have to believe that the universe is orderly. I don't know. Is it orderly? Have no idea. Let's look at it and find out. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Maybe some of it is and some of it isn't. Is a black hole orderly? Is that the vacuum cleaner of the universe, making everything pretty much ordered? Well, I guess when everything's compact into the singularity of the black hole, that's pretty much order. Or is, simply the entropy, when we have full entropy and the universe is back at zero state, that's pretty damn orderly. But also there won't be anything there. And so, well, but it's ordered. It's all zero. So is that orderly? Because this is not orderly. This is chaos right here. You're looking at chaos right now. You are chaos. Everything is chaos. And entropy is slowly fighting against chaos to make it back down to zero again. And we're losing that fight, damn it. Maybe we'll beat it if we figure out how to, but it's not looking good for us. But at any rate, so it appears that no, the universe is not orderly. It's actually a lot of chaos right now, and it's descending slowly into order, which I guess means God has created a chaotic universe and is working on making it orderly slowly throughout time by destroying everything and letting everything decay back to zero. Because, reasons. Anyways, back to the nonsense.
Either ignorance or intellectual dishonesty.
Well, that's you.
But the problem goes deeper than science. It's in your morality. Nietzsche had a specific insult for the atheist of his day who tried to get rid of Christian theology yet keep Christian morals. He called it the English disease. You see this everywhere today. You see people who mock the Bible, but they're obsessed with equality.
Yeah, the Bible is pretty pathetic. But yeah, I'll mock all the religious books. So what? You're stupid.
Human rights and compassion. Where do you
Yeah, human rights and compassion are pretty cool.
think the idea of equality comes from?
It's from humans. That's where the idea of equality comes from, is humans. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure I'm not.
Doesn't come from biology.
Yes, actually, it does.
Biology teaches hierarchy. Stronger wolves eat weaker wolves. Intelligence gaps, strength gaps. Nature is an engine of inequality. The only reason that you believe that every human being has equal worth is because...
more equivocation. So now you're equivocating between survival of the fittest and how intelligent beings treat each other. And you'll see in apes and other creatures that have hierarchies that their treatment of each other is consistent. And yes, that there are hierarchies, and those hierarchies make order, which You know, I mean, it's just everything you're saying is wrong in every single way that it could be wrong. Anyways, whatever.
Because of the Christian doctrine that all humans are equal before God.
No, the Christian doctrine. I mean, you have to pretty much ignore the 613 commandments, I suppose, but it doesn't say that women and men are equal. Not really. You have to read into it to get that. And certainly women are treated as second-class citizens in the Old Testament, for sure, without a doubt. And bizarre laws like stoning to death and things like this, it just don't make any sense. And you can say, well, but God had a reason or whatever. No, it wasn't God. It was people that said that it was God. It was never God that ordered these things. It was always people claiming that it came from God. Now, that doesn't mean there's no God, but it does mean that those people were making claims about God, and God didn't stop them from doing that. And you as a Christian discriminate against LGBT. I can say that for almost a certainty. Now, not all Christians do, because some Christians are enlightened. Some are like, I don't know, maybe I don't even know what the term is, like neo-Christian or something like this, like there's a new wave of Christianity that's being developed that doesn't look anything like your version of Christianity. And I bet that scares the bleep out of them. Progressive Christianity, I suppose you could call it. But I wonder if these new Christians that are LGBT Christians, churches that exist, I wonder if they're going to change the Bible and make it their own. Because I would see that as a positive thing. I think that they will do that eventually, because it has to adapt or die. And there's so much bad in the Bible that why not get rid of it? There's nothing stopping you from doing it. If you're going to ignore it anyways, you might as well just get rid of it. And so purge the pieces of the Bible that seem to be homophobic, even though that actually was put in later, and the original Bible wasn't really against gay people, but you could interpret it that way. So just get rid of those parts completely. You don't need them. And why not just focus on equality? Make a new Bible that has Jesus or whoever you want being, saying what you want them to say. Just make a new thing. Why not? There's nothing stopping you from doing it. And that's definitely going to kill off the old Christianity even faster than it's already dying, because the old Christianity is homophobic. It is, oh, you're a sinner this, you're a sinner that, And we know that because we've seen that. We see that happens. So you're a hypocrite, but I mean, that's not a logical fallacy, but I'm just saying,
That's not a biological claim. That is a
yes, it is
theological one. As Nietzsche wrote in The Twilight
Don't care
of the Idols, when one gives up the Christian faith, one pulls the right to Christian morality out from under one's feet. If you fight for social justice and universal human rights without God, you are a walking contradiction.
No, you're not. You're just saying stuff now.
Demanding the fruits of the kingdom without acknowledging the king. You want...
No, that makes... Wait, oh, sorry, that wasn't even on screen. No, that makes no sense.
The comfort of the Christian worldview without submitting to the Christian God. And
there is no comfort in the Christian worldview for unless you are a Christian. If you're not a Christian, then you're screwed. Because under the current Christian worldview, if you're not Christian, you're screwed. And it doesn't matter how nice of a person you are or what good you do. If you don't believe you're going to hell. Or at least if you don't believe in hell, which you shouldn't, because that also is made up and put into the Bible later, but whatever, then you're not going to get to heaven. You're not going to get the reward if you're not a Christian, and that's the current Christian mindset. But again, the more liberal Christian, the more progressive Christian, the neo-Christian, if you will, are rejecting this. They're saying, we're leaving this behind. We don't need this anymore. Let's keep the love part. That's good. Let's reinterpret this or that. Although again, I think rewriting it would be easier than reinterpretation, but whatever. So none of the things you're saying is true, but you desperately need it to be, because it's all about borrowing from my worldview, because then that makes my worldview true. See, because it's presup. It's all he's doing. It's just pathetic.
Nietzsche called that cowardice.
I don't care.
Y'all like Nietzsche, right? Well, hang tight, because we're not done. Look.
Still don't care, Harry. Oh yeah, I don't care what you or she, whatever, say. You're kind of dumb. Nah, I'm not gonna put that. Nah, never mind. Do you still like Nietzsche? Comment below why or why not. Don't care about him. Don't care about that dead dude. Not even.
This brings us to perhaps the most misunderstood moment in the history of philosophy: the madman running into the streets. So in The Gay Science, Nietzsche describes a madman running into a marketplace screaming, "I seek God." The people standing around him are all atheists, actually, modern secular.
Okay, so Nietzsche wrote a story, and in that story, he has somebody do stuff. I don't fucking care what somebody wrote as a story. It doesn't matter. That's not an argument.
Men, perhaps just like you, and they're laughing at him, mocking him. They say things like, "Is God lost? Did he go on a voyage? Where is your God?" They laugh at him because they think that the death of God, yes, this is the famous God is dead passage. They think that the death of God is just some trivial event. They think it means you can just sleep in on Sundays. But the madman smashes his lantern on the ground and asks, "Do you know what we have done?"
I don't care. It's a made-up story that the guy made up to try to make his point to the reader. Who cares? This isn't what is this? An appeal to analogy, I guess, at best. But I just don't care.
Who gave us the sponge to wipe away the entire horizon? What did we do when we enchained this earth from its sun? Do you feel the weight of that metaphor? If you enchain the earth from its sun, you don't just lose the light and warmth, you lose the orbit. You lose the up and the down in all orientation.
You would lose well, you can't unchain the earth from the sun because it's not chained to the sun. I don't really know exactly what you'd have to somehow break the earth from the gravitational pull of the sun, which requires an equal or greater force acting upon the earth, probably ripping the earth to nothingness. So you'd have to vanish the sun, and then you'd have other gravitational forces working on the earth. I think that, stay in orbit. Oh, why am I trying to figure this out scientifically? It doesn't matter. It's just a stupid metaphor. Who cares?
You plunge into an infinite, freezing void. The madman is terrified because he sees what the casual atheists don't see. When you
Yes, because it's written to convince you that Nietzsche is correct. That's why he's writing this story in the book that you're reading. He's like, I want to convince the reader that I'm correct about my way of looking at the death of God. Like, take this seriously, everybody. We've killed God. What are we supposed to do now? I don't know. What have we done? And we can't undo it. And it really is. It's making me freak out. And I'm like, that's not. It's okay, Nietzsche. It's okay, man. Calm down, man. It's okay. It's okay. We're gonna do fine without it. Okay. Okay. It's gonna be okay, man. God, we don't need it. Okay, it's gonna be fine. Calm down, Nietzsche. No, no. I'm like, Nietzsche, calm down, man. It's gonna be okay. Calm down. Nietzsche's like, I'm like, it's okay, man. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna be just fine. And then I'd tell Nietzsche about AI, and then he'd go insane and about AI, I guess,
You kill God. You kill objective value. You kill
No, you don't.
objective truth.
No, you don't. Because it would still be objectively true that God is dead. So what you're just desperate at this point. And again, he's relying on his beliefs about God in order to say these things that are just nonsense stuff that he's saying.
You kill meaning. There is nothing else left. You kill the
No, this is all your beliefs about what God is. So you think that God provides X, Y, and Z, and that once God is dead, that X, Y, and Z do not sustain on themselves because they needed God to be, and so without God, then X, Y, and Z isn't. But that's your belief. It's not the truth of reality. With or without God, however reality is the way that it is. And then we have to use that reality that we find ourselves to establish an argumentation or proofs or data that lead us to the conclusion. But you're going at it ass backwards because you're masturbating with Nietzsche, I guess. So that in my head that was a lot better than when I said it. But whatever, you know what I mean. And if not, that's fine. Don't worry about it. We'll make sense later.
The very possibility of saying that anything is good or evil. This is why Nietzsche goes on to reject good versus evil. Nietzsche's warning.
I don't care. Nietzsche was wrong. Nietzsche. What about Nitty? Nitty says stuff. Look, right here. Nitty said mourning. Yeah, think about mourning. What does that mean? I mean, look at the web expert said nobody here but us chickens, meaning that we're all chickens. Yeah, that's some profound wisdom there. Let's think about that. Oh, what does that mean? Are we cowardly? Are we all birds? Do we have feathers? Cluck, cluck, cluck. Well, we're pecking our way through life, trying to avoid being made into food to serve in the food chain, and oh man, it's just so deep. You can do that with any writing. You can make anything deep if you want to, or you can just be like, yeah, that's something somebody said. Which that's how I view it. It's like, yeah, you said that. Okay, whatever. Anyways.
Warning is that you are not ready for this. You are celebrating the funeral because you haven't realized that you are the one in the casket.
But if I'm in the casket, then I can't be celebrating the funeral unless I'm alive in the casket. And I'd probably not be celebrating because I'd be like, hey, help, let me out. I'm trapped in this box. Let me out. So that doesn't make sense to me. Oh well.
So here we stand. Nietzsche has surgically removed the delusion. He has
No, he hasn't.
shown you that your science is actually a faith, that morality
Science is actually a faith. Okay, there we go. Too quick. And no, Nietzsche didn't do that, and neither did you. My God, you're a moron.
is a memory of things past, and
My morality is a memory of things past. Whatever. I don't know.
atheism is not real. It's a
That's not what Nietzsche said, though. I mean, what are you talking about?
mask because you're borrowing from the Christian worldview. So now at this point, you have a choice. And realistically, there are only two honest paths left.
So realistically, whatever he's going to say is going to be completely and utterly wrong and not true and a lie. Here we go.
Number one, you become the Ubermensch. You can choose the void. You accept the death of God fully. Stop believing in these trappings of the past. You stare into the abyss and you do not blink. You admit that there is no good, no evil, no human rights, no truth. You can accept that.
Okay, so you have to become a nihilist, but the problem, there's a problem here. You have to accept that there's no truth. So is it true that there's no truth? Because then you are accepting a truth, which means that there is a truth. Or is it the only truth that you are accepting is the fact that there is no truth other than the fact that there's a truth? Because you'd have to put a special clause to protect that from itself. Otherwise, you fall into a paradox. But you don't have to pick this void thing that he's talking about because you don't. It's just not true that you have to pick this thing.
The love you feel for your family, for your friends, your desire for justice, it's all just a biological trick. You take on the terrifying burden of trying to be.
Oh, really? Let's go back. Hold on. Well, that picture, I mean, it's not even clear how many paths there are in that picture.
You admit that there is no good. Stop. Realistically, there are only two honest paths left. Number one, you become the Ubermensch. You can choose the void. You accept the death of God.
Oh, here, this part. Okay, yeah. So, hey, I know where that's from, though. Yeah, so this was, yeah, he's right. There's 4 paths here. Well, I mean, technically 3 because he came from one of them. But that picture, that's from Castaway. Yeah. Yeah, that's from the movie Castaway. Here we go. Look. Now I'm right. I'm right on this. I know what I'm talking about. This is from that. So here's Castaway Pass. Check it out right here. Look. Well, okay, that didn't, see? Like, and then there's this shot like right here. So yeah. There it is. That's where you got this from. Here it is. Okay, hold on. Let me pull this up. I just want to be sure I'm right, because it's important for me to go off on this tangent. Okay, so look, see, pretty sure. I mean, or something like it. It doesn't line up correctly. Whatever. I'm gonna pretend that I was right, anyways. But yeah, Yeah, what the hell happened to my screen? Oh my god. The hell? Oh my god. Oh, I don't know what's happened to my layout. Everything went to hell. Oh, well, anyways, back to the video. Yeah, he has 4 pass, not 2. 649. Let's point that out to him. 6. Wait. Oh shit. I screwed it up. 649. 649. Hey, that's It's 645 actually. 645. That's great. Thanks. Thank you, brother. Hold on. Okay. Wow. Hold on. I'm gonna refresh here. Hold on a second. Something went wacky on my side. Okay, sorry about that. Something went wacky on my side, and my screen was all screwed up, and I couldn't see anything. So I had to refresh. Okay, that's hilarious. All right, back to the video. There's 2 paths. Actually, there's 4 paths. Whatever, Anyway, so what was he was saying? The void and whatever bullshit he was saying.
No evil, no human for your family, for your friends, your desire for justice. It's all just a biological trick. You take on the terrifying burden of trying to become God yourself.
I mean, that's not that terrifying. I think I would do a better job of God than God, at least the God of the Bible. I mean, there's other gods that probably do a better job. I do okay. I mean, I'm assuming that I get all the powers and stuff. Like, I get to know everything and all that, So that'd be, I'm pretty sure once I knew everything and had, like, perfect memory recall and knew every language and stuff, like, I'm pretty sure I'd be like, okay, first of all, we're going to just, like, make a perpetual motion a thing. That way nothing has to eat again. Like, poof, there. Now everything gets energy from itself and doesn't need anything else. It doesn't need to eat. So now animals can just chill out and, they don't have to consume plants and stuff. And humans don't have to eat anything either, And so that gets rid of that problem. Now I'm like, hey, viruses, we don't need those. Poof, gone. All right, get rid of some bacteria, bad, other bacteria not bad. But the bacteria that we have that's not bad in our digestive tract, well, we don't need that anymore because we don't need to eat. So I guess I get rid of the digestive system. I'm gonna pretty much overhaul the entire human body because none of it really makes a lot of sense. Put the scrotum inside of the guy. Give you an on-off switch inside of your head that you can decide when you want to have kids or not. Be like, hey, today I want to get this gal pregnant. Click, and then like he can be like, I don't want to get pregnant. Click, and you'll be like, oh, okay, and like I don't know, make it like the parts like maybe like they close. Like there's a metal thing that closes, like, and that protects your gonads. Like, so if you don't want to have sex at all, like you're just walking around, let's say, and your stuff is inside of you and it's like protected by metal, so like nobody can rape anyone. That'd be pretty good. And your bones are made out of like titanium or graphite or not graphite, the strong stuff, whatever the hell that's called, like better than titanium, but like I'd make it so you don't need blood anymore, and that you live for however long you want to live, that you can't die randomly from random stuff. I'd make that a thing. No more volcanoes or earthquakes. Just turn that off. make the world be nice again, get rid of, well, since we don't need energy now and there's infinite energy, but get rid of all the pollution and stuff, and you know maybe restore the dodo because that was a cool little creature. I don't know, bring back the dead maybe, or like make another planet like where you could go visit them, or that'd be kind of cool. Like you go like in a portal and like you just can go to any time period that you want. Maybe I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. I'm coming up with all sorts of good ideas that God never did. Pretty sure I'm a better God at this point, but or maybe I go crazy with power and just do all sorts of crazy stuff. I don't know. But then if I'm God, then can I give my godhood to somebody else? Be like, oh man, I'm going crazy here. Here, you have it for a while. I give it to some other idiot or whatever. And now they are God, and and then maybe we all decide that like God isn't a good idea, and we're like, look, let's just give this power to nobody, and we'll like make no one God. That would be interesting. Yeah, let's try that. See if that works. Why not? I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but I'm not like afraid of being God because like that sounds pretty cool to me. By the way, in case you're wondering, I have been God in Minecraft, but still I was God in Minecraft, and I have a video. Let's see, Minecraft. I have to look it up because Minecraft stuff. No, that's not it. There it is. Minecraft, but I am God. There we go. Okay, I'll link that. Oh my God, I'm loud. Why do I always yell my name in the front of my videos for? What am I thinking? Anyway, so yeah, so then that video, I'm God in Minecraft, so you can check out me being God. But I was pretty crummy as God in that video. I wasn't like trying to be a good God. So, but like his whole point was that I am scared of being God, and I'm just trying to make the point that no, I'm not scared of being God. So that negates his whole idea, just like everything else he said he's been wrong about. So he's wrong about this making me be afraid. I'd be like, yeah, sure, sign me up. I'll be God, yeah. At least for a while, Anyways.
Your own God. Creating your own values from nothing, knowing that they have no authority other than your own will. And
yeah. And that's how it be, man. Your values matter only to you and no one else. And that's just how reality is. And that doesn't scare me because, it doesn't. But, I guess it could scare you. But you're going to have to adapt because that's the way it is. Sorry. Who told you that killing was wrong? I told me. And then I'd show you the short circuit clip that I have on the other channel. But I don't feel like doing that right now. But yeah. What else? You're almost done. We're almost done being stupid. Oh my God.
And empowered to enforce them. That is the path of the Ubermensch. It is cold. It is lonely. And frankly, it is impossible for the human heart. Or path number 2, you admit the dependency. You can stop pretending. You admit that your intellect, logic, and your moral compass all require a metaphysical grounding in order to exist.
Okay, so pathway 1 is nihilism, and pathway 2 is insanity. Cool. I'll take pathway 3, which is neither, because this was a false dichotomy. Anyways.
You can admit that the reason you love truth, goodness, and beauty is because of the author of those things. You love.
So presup 101. So we're back to this, I guess. When you don't have an argument, just go presup, I guess. And it's just really pathetic that it's this bad. It's just like, just admit that you're a Christian. Just admit it. Just admit that you're a lobsterist. Deep down, you know it to be true.
Of truth because you were made by the truth. The reason.
No, it's you. I was made by my parents, made by the truth. What? That is incoherent.
The reason you love justice and mercy is because those are the laws of your true country. You don't
Again, equivocating laws.
have to live in the shadows of a dead god. That's all fake news anyway. You can
No, you don't have to live in the shadow of anything at all. You can go into the light of of logic and reason and science and reality. And look, you want to believe in God, or maybe you have no choice. I don't know. That's fine. But you got to be honest with that. And this guy, he's not being honest at all.
turn around and face the fire itself.
Oh,
Nietzsche was
no!
right about the problem. We cannot
No, he wasn't.
live without the sun. We cannot live unchained. But he was wrong about the solution. We don't need to become gods. We need to come home.
No, to all of that. Just no. Well, anyways, Nitwit here is not going to watch my video here. I will tell him, though, I made a short response to you, but you don't care. And anyways, yeah. And then I know there's an irony there of me telling him what he believes when I just finished complaining about that he did. Yeah, I know this irony. But yeah, wow, that was a full hour. We did it. We turned a 10-minute something video into an hour somehow. Gurgent YYY has comments, but I'll get to that in a moment. I have to finish this up. I have to wrap up the video that I'm looking at, and then I'll get distracted by chat. So, okay. So did we have a valid and sound argument? Well, no, we didn't have a argument at all, at least not in syllogistic form. Now, that's okay. You don't have to present it in syllogistic form. There's also essay format. He didn't do that. What we do have is, like I said at the beginning, a construct straw man of what atheism is, and then lots and lots of just incoherent nonsense throughout to appeal to the authority of Nietzsche in order to say that your only choices are nihilism or be a Christian. And no, those aren't your choices, and I don't accept those ideas as being the only choices available to you. Nietzsche had ideas about God that I don't share. He had a belief about what God is. He had a belief about what the death of God meant based on the belief of what God was. And maybe Nietzsche didn't believe in God, or maybe he did. I don't know. I don't care. What he said has no impact on me, even a little bit. I'm not impressed by what he wrote. I've never read what he wrote. I don't plan to. I just don't care. And you trying to dismantle what a word means by doing all this nonsense just goes further to show that you don't have an argument for your side. You have to resort to presuppositionalism in the end to get to your conclusion. So at no point do we have a valid or sound argument. Do we have any empirical evidence? No, not even a little. Is there any repeatable test that we could perform? He doesn't offer us any. So we don't have any logic. We don't have any tests. We don't have any proof. We have him saying that Nietzsche said this, and that should convince us because he thinks Nietzsche was right, and he thinks that Nietzsche's solution was wrong, and that we should be Christians because he wants people to be Christians. It's like, okay, but I don't give a damn what Nietzsche said, so that doesn't work on me. It only would work if I cared what Nietzsche said, maybe. But then what Nietzsche says has to be valid and sound, and it wasn't, because Nietzsche made his ideas based on his beliefs of God and what it meant to not have God. What it meant to Nietzsche that God was dead meant all these negative things that I don't agree with. I think that God being dead is a good thing. And I don't hold the value of God that Nietzsche did, because I don't know what God is. I don't pretend to assign attributes to a thing that I label God. That's not up to me. That's up to the believer in God to do. And we humans, we decide what God is or isn't. And there's certain traits that may or may not kind of converge, but other ones that deconverge. And in Christianity, again, we're seeing this change of Christianity. There are, of course, different denominations, but we're seeing that less and less people are going to church, like real buildings. But we are seeing that those churches that are surviving are doing a different strategy than the old churches did. Mega churches are somewhat survivable because they get a lot of money from all the different people that come in, but they offer like a lot of services. So you're kind of going there like a club, because and then the more liberal or proactive or neo-Christian churches, they're surviving because they're giving a different message. They're giving a true message of love and acceptance rather than judgment and hellfire and whatever. So religion is adapting in order to survive, and the churches that are dying out are trying to stick to the traditional method. And there might be one tradition that you don't want to give up no matter what, because it means something to you. And the great wonderful movie and play, Fiddler on the Roof, where you have a character that struggles with giving up traditions, but there's one he doesn't want to give up, but he kind of does, sort of, maybe at the end, but but he really doesn't, because it's like that one is not just tradition. It's like it's part of the faith too. But if only he could see, like, it doesn't have to be part of the faith. Like, he could look at it in a different way, but he was, but he's too conditioned in this tradition. This is what it means to be the thing that I am. And so it's kind of like his identity, even though it hurts him. So he struggles with that. And I think people struggle with all of those things, whether we believe in God or not. We struggle with identity, and we struggle with what it means to be a human. What does it mean to be Caucasian or American or whatever? What does it mean to be a skeptic? What does it mean to be a lobsterist? All these things that we could label ourselves, and we could be like, I don't know what it means to be this, And for some people, it's a struggle, and for others, it isn't. So it's like, yeah, I'm a skeptic, whatever. It's not a big deal to me. But to somebody else, it might be a struggle to understand that or figure that out. And that's the human condition that we're all in. But if you want to argue God, you have to at least do so from an honest position. And what my conclusion is after this video is this guy doesn't care. He argues for God from a dishonest position, straw manning atheism, constructing straw man arguments, and equivocating different words than just pure presup, and giving us nothing other than Nietzsche said a thing and that we should agree with Nietzsche, therefore we should be a Christian. Not good enough. So I have to discard his conclusion in full. I don't even get to be skeptical of it. That's how bad his presentation was. Now, that doesn't mean that there's no God. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that he sucks when it comes to trying to explain that we should believe in God or be a Christian. He's bad at it, and he needs to really go back to the drawing board. And as somebody that presents himself having a doctor in front of his name, he really should raise the bar and really should do better than he's doing. But all I've ever seen from him are these low-tier efforts, and seen him do this crap apologetics that just should be beneath him, but for whatever reason, he does it. I don't understand that. I learned nothing from it other than he's wrong about everything. So that's my analysis. All right. Said something to the web expert. where is he? Oh, he started way up here. Oh my God, I missed a bunch of stuff. When did all this begin? Anyways. How do you account for the existence of knowledge given an atheistic worldview? There is no atheistic worldview. I just went over that. In other words, how do you epistemologically justify your true beliefs given the uncertainty of even the first principles? Okay. So there is no atheist worldview. That's not a thing. So what you're asking is an incoherent question, and I can't answer an incoherent question. And this kind of goes into the philosophy that I was talking about earlier, the word knowledge versus the word belief and all this. And you can get into the muck of you have belief and then you have justified belief and then you have knowledge and you have justified knowledge. And I don't go for any of that crap. I just don't. I'm too simple for that. If it's real, it's real. That's what true is, okay? It is really true that I have a lobster on my hand that is a stuffed lobster. And if you can't agree with that, if you, I don't know how the hell to say your name there, but if you can't agree that there's a lobster on my head right now, then we can't have a conversation. So the knowledge that I have a lobster on my head is based on the fact that I have a lobster on my head, and the access to that information goes through the sensory inputs that I as a human have, just as you have the same sensory inputs. So if you and I can't agree that there's a lobster on my head, then we can't talk. So there is a lobster on my head. Okay, there you go. That's the truth. So there's no further justification other than it's really there. Even if it was the case that I couldn't account for X, Y, and Z, that wouldn't mean anything at all either. Because saying I don't know is a valid answer to any question. So everyone has a worldview. Yes and no, in that yes, in one way people have a way of viewing the world, and no, in that they haven't necessarily mapped out their worldview. I attempted to do so, but it's too many questions for me to answer. Like there's too many things in the world that I'd have to resolve on how I think, feel, and believe about X, Y, and Z. There's too many things in the world. So I don't know what the hell my worldview is. But it includes atheism and skepticism and logician in there, because those things aren't worldviews. It'd be like saying that you're a Democrat or you're a Republican and then that's a worldview. No, those are part of your worldview. I don't really know what my entire worldview is. I guess I would say the best I could do would be whatever it is would be one that requires empirical evidence, repeatable tests, or a valid and sound argument. So do you have one of those three things? And if not, then I'm not going to believe you no matter what. Atheism is a null position? Yes, correct. And this is switching burden of proof. Atheism is part of a worldview, right, but it is not a worldview by itself. So you got it half right. What else? Okay, wow, it's catching up. Let's see. I don't go for that crap by saying you are presupposing it because you're using logic and knowledge. I don't care. Okay. Recursively saying you don't know leads you to doing nothing ever. You have to know something. Okay. What's your argument? Anyways, if you want to set up a talk with me, I'm happy to do that. Gent, whatever your name is. So my email is deconvertedman1@gmail.com. Email me. I'm Eastern Standard Time. Tell me a day and time that you would like to talk, and we'll set up a discussion. And you can explain your ideas and whatever they are, and I can ask you questions, and you can ask me questions. But I will tell you this. I do not engage with presuppositionalists. So if you're going to do presup, I don't want to talk to you. Period. End of story. Okay, I'm just not interested in that. So if you're not a precept, I'm happy to talk to you about whatever your beliefs are and why you believe them. But if you are a precept, bye-bye. Yeah, sounds kind of like you're a precept there. So, yeah, because precepts discard logic in full and have nothing to offer anybody. That's why. So, since you are you a precept? Yes or no? Let's just see you weigh in right now, and we'll end this real quick. Because I'm not gonna talk to you live if you're a precept, and you know what? I'm not even gonna talk to you in the chat, to be honest. So if you're a precept, I have to ban you. If you're not a precept, you can stay. So which is it? You want to be banned or do you want to stay? Those are your two paths. Your choice. Yeah, I think you left. No, okay. Bye-bye. Yep. All right. Goodbye. Ban user. He was banned and their comments were removed. Now, I don't like that it does that. You know, I wish it didn't, because I would like to leave those comments around. But yeah, I just don't deal with precept nonsense. Anyways, the grounding of logic is reality itself, and we don't need a God to do that. We just need reality. And God itself would be subservient to logic because God would still equal God, which is the law of identity. And so there you go. God presupposes logic. Wom wom. Yeah, I just, you know, I said this whenever it was when I talked to that precept guy. I was like, no, we're not doing this. And I decided at that point moving forward on my channel, I'm just not going to deal with precepts. Period. Somebody else can deal with those idiots because it is a denial of logic at that point. And, you know, it's just like, how do you account for this? How do you account for that? I don't know. Don't know. And what's your argument? You got none. So, you know. At any rate, so fascinating video for me to debunk, and I did. And, yeah, and then a little bit of interaction with chat, which is always good. But, hey, talk to me in the comment section. Let me know if I got something wrong, maybe in my analysis. Maybe I missed something that he said that was stupid that I should have pointed out. Maybe you don't like it when I call people stupid and nitwit and all that. And I understand that. I understand you have a good point. But my counter to that is, and, you know, so what are you going to do about that then? Yeah, you didn't think of that. Yeah, all right. Okay. Anyways, thanks for listening, and put your comments in the comment section. Like the video, share it, whatever you want to do. I don't know. And if you're Diddy, I'm gonna find you and go out with you one of these days. It will happen. We're gonna go on a date, and nobody can stop us. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. I'm insane now. It's time to go insane. That's what it is, and I need to end the video. That's what it is. Okay. Be skeptical. See you next time. And then I screwed up my ending. Whatever.